Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Liberty, watching the stars through the large front window. His ship had been traveling through space for 3 months now, looking for new planets and maybe new life. The Liberty was a big ship, built for long trips, far from Earth. It had everything they needed to explore the galaxy. "Captain, I'm getting something strange on the sensors," said Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez from her station. She was the ship's tactical officer, a smart woman who had served in the Earth's Space Navy for 10 years. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls as she tried to figure out what the sensors were showing. Jake walked over to Amy's station and looked at the screen. "What kind of strange?" he asked. 12 ships, sir. They're coming toward us fast. The computer says they're not human ships." Amy's voice was calm, but Jake could hear the worry in it. Commander Pete Collins looked up from his engineering station. He was a big man with rough hands, who knew everything about how the Liberty worked. "Captain, those ships are using some kind of energy we've never seen before. Their engines are way different from ours." Jake felt his heart beat faster. Was it? This was what Earth had been waiting for. First contact with aliens. He had trained for this moment his whole life, but now that it was happening, he felt nervous. "Lisa, open all communication channels," Jake said to Communications Officer Lisa Park. She was young but very good at her job. Her fingers started working on the radio controls. "All channels open, sir," Lisa said. Jake took a deep breath. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth ship USS Liberty. We come in peace. Please respond." They waited. The bridge was very quiet. Everyone looked at the screen showing the 12 alien ships getting closer. The ships were long and thin, like silver knives cutting through space. They had strange lights that blinked in patterns no human had ever seen. "Sir, they're responding," Lisa said, her voice excited. A new voice came through the speakers. It sounded cold and harsh, but the ship's computer was translating it into English. "Human vessel, this is Admiral Crickstall of the Zephyrian Collective. You will stop your ship and prepare to be boarded." Jake frowned. That didn't sound very friendly. "Admiral, we are peaceful explorers from Earth. We wish to establish friendly contact between our peoples." "Your wishes do not matter," the alien voice said. "We are the Zephyrian Collective. We have ruled this part of space for 1,000 years. You are now our subjects. Stop your ship, or we will stop it for you." Dr. Carl Bennett, the ship's doctor, looked worried. He was an older man who had seen many bad things in his life. "Captain, this doesn't sound good," he said quietly. Jake knew Carl was right. These aliens didn't want to be friends. They wanted to capture his ship and crew. He thought about the 200 people on the Liberty. Scientists, engineers, doctors, and yes, some military people too. They were all his responsibility. "Admiral Crickstall," Jake said, trying to keep his voice steady. "We don't want any trouble. We'll leave your space, if that's what you want." "Too late for that," the alien replied. "Our science director Velnox wants to study your species. You will make interesting specimens for our research. Your technology will also be useful to us." Amy looked at her tactical screen. "Captain, they're spreading out around us. Classic attack formation. They're trying to surround us so we can't run." Jake felt anger growing in his chest. These aliens thought they could just take his ship and his people like they were things to be collected. They thought humans were weak and helpless. "Sir," said Navigation Officer Dan White from his station, "I'm reading their ship designs. They're built for scaring people, not really for fighting. Lots of fancy lights and big engines, but their weapons look old." Commander Collins was studying his engineering screens. "Captain, their energy signatures are all wrong. These aliens have been picking on weak opponents for so long. They don't know how to fight a real enemy." Jake made his decision. "All hands, this is the captain. Go to yellow alert. All non-essential personnel, report to emergency stations. This is not a drill. Warning lights started flashing yellow throughout the ship. People began moving quickly to their assigned places. The Liberty had been built to look like a peaceful exploration ship, but Jake knew it had secrets that these aliens had no idea about. Admiral Crickstall, Jake said into the radio. Last warning, leave us alone, or you'll regret it. The alien laughed, a harsh sound that made everyone on the bridge uncomfortable. Your small ship against our fleet. You humans must be very stupid. Science Director Velnox, prepare the capture beams. We'll take them alive if possible. Sir, Amy whispered to Jake. They have no idea what they're dealing with, do they? Jake smiled for the first time since the aliens had appeared. No, Amy, they really don't, but they're about to learn. The 12 alien ships moved closer, their strange lights getting brighter. On their bridge, Admiral Crickstall was sure this would be easy. The Zephyrians had conquered hundreds of worlds. They had never met anyone who could stand against them. This would just be another quick victory. But Admiral Crickstall didn't know about humanity's long history of war. He didn't know that the USS Liberty was more than it seemed. And he definitely didn't know that Captain Jake Morrison and his crew were about to teach the Zephyrian collective a lesson they would never forget. The first shots were about to be fired, and everything was about to change. The first alien weapons hit the USS Liberty with bright flashes of blue energy. The whole ship shook, and several crew members had to grab onto their stations to keep from falling. Captain Jake Morrison felt the deck vibrate under his feet as the alien plasma weapons struck their shields. Shields holding at 90%, Commander Pete Collins called out from his engineering station. His big hands moved quickly over the controls, checking all the ship's systems. Their weapons are strong, but not as strong as they think. Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez studied her tactical screen with sharp eyes. The 12 alien ships were firing in a pattern they had probably used 1,000 times before. Captain, they're using basic attack formation number 3. It's designed to scare enemies into giving up, not to actually destroy them. More blue energy beams hit the Liberty. The lights on the bridge flickered for a moment, then came back to full power. Dr. Carl Bennett checked the medical sensors throughout the ship. No injuries reported. Captain, the crew is holding steady. Jake nodded. His people were good. They had trained for situations like this, even though nobody had expected to face aliens. Lisa tried to contact them again. Maybe we can still talk our way out of this. Communications officer Lisa Park worked at her station, trying to reach the alien fleet. I'm getting through, sir, but they're not listening. Admiral Crickstall is ordering his ships to increase fire. The alien attack got stronger. More energy beams hit the Liberty's shields, making the whole ship shake harder. Some of the less experienced crew members looked scared, but the veterans stayed calm and focused on their jobs. Shields down to 75%, Pete reported. His voice was steady, but Jake could see worry in his eyes. Captain, at this rate, they'll break through in about 10 minutes. Dr. Helen Ward, the ship's scientist who studied alien life, was watching the attack patterns on her screen. She was a smart woman who noticed things others missed. Captain, look at how they're attacking us. It's like they've never had to fight anyone who fought back before. Jake looked at Helen's screen. She was right. The aliens were firing their weapons, but they weren't trying very hard to hit weak spots or use smart tactics. They were just shooting at the Liberty, like they expected it to break apart immediately. Amy, what do you think? Jake asked his tactical officer. Amy studied the data for a few more seconds. Dr. Ward is right, sir. These aliens are used to fighting people who give up fast. Look at their ship positions. They're spread out to look scary, but if we wanted to fight back, we could. Pick them off one by one, if we wanted to fight back. Jake asked. Amy looked at him with a small smile. Sir, the Liberty isn't just an exploration ship. Remember, we've got teeth if we need to use them. Navigation Officer Dan White looked up from his station. "Captain, I've got an idea. There's an asteroid field about 2 hours away, at full speed. If we can get there, we might be able to even the odds." Jake thought about it. The asteroid field would be dangerous, but it might give them a chance. The Liberty was smaller and more agile than the big alien ships. They might be able to use that advantage. "Pete, can we outrun them?" Jake asked. Commander Collins checked his engineering displays. "Yes, sir. Our engines are different from theirs. We can go faster for longer, but they'll follow us for sure." The alien weapons hit them again, stronger this time. The shields flickered, and Jake could see the power level dropping on Pete's screen. "Shields at 60%, Pete called out. Chief Gunner Sam Torres had been quiet up until now, but he finally spoke up. Sam was a tough man who had served on warships before joining the Liberty. "Captain, I've been studying their weapons. They're using plasma-based energy beams. Strong, but they're designed to overwhelm weak shields fast, not to keep fighting for a long time." "What does that mean?" Jake asked. "It means they expect their enemies to break quickly," Sam explained. "They don't know how to handle a real fight. If we can survive their first big attack, they won't know what to do next." Jake made his decision. "Dan, set course for the asteroid field. Maximum speed. Amy, prepare for tactical retreat. Make it look like we're running scared." "Aye, sir," both officers said at the same time. The Liberty's engines roared to life, pushing the ship forward faster than before. The alien ships followed immediately, just like Jake had hoped they would. "They're taking the bait," Amy reported. "All 12 ships are following us. They think we're running away because we're afraid." On the alien flagship, Admiral Crickstall was pleased. The humans were doing exactly what he expected. They had fired a few shots at his shields, but couldn't do any real damage. Now they were running away like all the other weak species his fleet had conquered. Science Director Velnox Admiral Crickstall said to his second-in-command, "Prepare. The boarding teams. We'll capture their ship in the asteroid field. The rocks will stop them from running further." Science Director Velnox was excited. "Yes, Admiral. This human technology will be very useful to study, and their biology looks interesting too. They seem to be stronger than most species we've conquered." But Admiral Crickstall and Science Director Velnox didn't know about humanity's history. They didn't know that humans had been fighting wars against each other for thousands of years. They didn't know that every human ship, even the peaceful ones, carried lessons learned from countless battles, and they definitely didn't know that the USS Liberty was not what it seemed to be. Jake watched the alien ships on his screen, following them toward the asteroid field. "Pete, start getting ready to show them what the Liberty can really do." "Already on it, Captain," Pete said with a grin. "They're going to be very surprised." The chase continued through space, with the alien fleet confident they were hunting frightened prey. But Jake Morrison and his crew knew better. They weren't running away from a fight. They were leading their enemies into a trap. The USS Liberty flew into the asteroid field like a fish swimming through coral. Captain Jake Morrison watched as huge rocks floated past the ship, some as big as cities. Navigation Officer Dan White's hands moved smoothly over his controls, steering the ship between the dangerous floating mountains of stone and metal. "Easy does it, Dan," Jake said calmly. "Make it look natural, but lead them deeper into the field." "Yes, sir," Dan replied. He had grown up flying small ships through the asteroid belts near Mars, so this felt like home to him. The Liberty twisted and turned between the rocks, moving with grace that surprised the alien fleet following behind. Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez watched her tactical screen as the 12 Zephyrian ships entered the asteroid field behind them. The alien ships were much bigger than the Liberty, and they were having trouble moving between the rocks. They had to slow down and be more careful. "Perfect," Amy said with satisfaction. "Their big ships can't move as fast in here. We're evening the odds." Admiral Crickstall was getting frustrated on his flagship. The human ship was moving through the asteroids like it belonged there, but his powerful warships kept having to stop and go around the bigger rocks. He had expected to catch the humans quickly, but now they were leading him deeper into this dangerous field. Science Director Velnox Admiral Krickstahl called to his second-in-command. "Why are the humans so good at flying in this field?" Science Director Velnox studied his sensors. "Their ship is smaller and more agile than ours, Admiral. Also, their technology might be better suited for this kind of flying. But don't worry, once we get them cornered, size won't matter." But Science Director Velnox was wrong about many things. On the Liberty, Commander Pete Collins was preparing the ship's hidden systems. His fingers worked over control panels that most of the crew didn't even know existed. These were the Liberty's real secrets, built into the ship during construction on Earth. "Captain, I'm bringing the special systems online," Pete said quietly. "Cloaking device is charging up. Weapons are ready. All the hidden stuff is working perfectly." Jake nodded. The USS Liberty wasn't really just an exploration ship. It was what Earth's military called a wolf in sheep's clothing. It looked peaceful and scientific on the outside, but inside it carried some of the most advanced military technology humans had ever built. Dr. Helen Ward was studying the alien ships through her sensors. As a scientist, she was fascinated by what she was seeing. "Captain, their ships are built all wrong for real fighting. They're designed to look scary and powerful, but they're not actually that tough. It's like they've never had to fight anyone who knew how to fight back." "What do you mean?" Jake asked. "Look at their armor," Helen explained. "It's thick in some places and thin in others. They put the thick armor where people can see it, not where it would actually protect important systems. And their weapons are mounted to look impressive, not to be effective in battle." Chief Gunner Sam Torres was also studying the alien ships, but he was looking at their weapons and defenses. "Dr. Ward is right, Captain. These ships are built to intimidate weak enemies, not to fight real battles. Their shields are strong against energy weapons, but I bet they've never faced kinetic weapons before." "Kinetic weapons?" Jake asked. "Old-fashioned bullets and shells, sir, but really fast ones. Most species probably use energy weapons because they look more advanced, but sometimes the old ways work better." Jake was starting to understand. These aliens had conquered many worlds, but they had probably never faced anyone with real military experience. They were bullies who picked on weak opponents. "Dan, take us deeper into the field," Jake ordered. "Find us a good hiding spot." Dan steered the Liberty around a huge asteroid that was covered in metal, or the metal would interfere with sensors, making it harder for the aliens to track them. "Perfect spot coming up, Captain. Lots of interference from the metal in these rocks." Amy was coordinating with the other officers to set up their ambush. "Sam, can you target their engines from here?" "If we get close enough, yes," Sam replied. "But we'll have to decloak right next to them. It'll be dangerous." "Everything about this is dangerous," Jake said. "But we don't have much choice, Lisa. Try one more time to contact them. Give them a chance to leave peacefully." Communications Officer Lisa Park sent out a signal to the alien fleet. "Admiral Krickstahl, this is Captain Morrison. You're making a mistake. Leave now and nobody has to get hurt." Admiral Krickstahl's harsh voice came back through the speakers. "Your threats are meaningless, human. We have 12 warships, and you have one small ship. Surrender now, and we might let some of your crew live." Jake sighed. He had hoped it wouldn't come to this, but the aliens weren't giving him any choice. "Pete, activate the cloaking device." Cloaking device activated, Pete confirmed. "We're invisible to their sensors now." On the alien ships, Science Director Velnox suddenly looked confused at his sensor display. "Admiral, the human ship just disappeared." "What do you mean, disappeared?" Admiral Krickstahl demanded. "Their ship was right there, and now it's gone. Our sensors can't find them anywhere." Admiral Krickstahl was angry. Find them. They can't just vanish. Search every asteroid. The 12 alien ships spread out through the asteroid field, looking for the missing human ship. They moved slowly and carefully, checking behind every rock. But they couldn't find the Liberty anywhere. What the aliens didn't know was that humans had been developing cloaking technology for years. The Liberty's cloaking device was one of the most advanced pieces of technology on the ship, designed by Earth's best scientists and engineers. The aliens also didn't know that the Liberty was now moving silently through the asteroid field, getting into position behind them. Jake and his crew were preparing to show Admiral Crickstall and his fleet what human military technology could really do. All stations report ready, Amy said quietly. Weapons are locked and loaded, Sam confirmed. Engines are ready for combat maneuvers, Pete added. Navigation is standing by, Dan whispered. Jake looked around at his crew. They were scared, but they were ready to fight. These people had trained their whole lives for moments like this. They knew what they had to do. Remember, Jake said softly, we're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for Earth, and for every human who might meet these aliens in the future. Let's show them that humanity doesn't give up easily. The trap was set. The aliens were scattered and looking in the wrong places. The Liberty was invisible and ready to strike. It was time to teach the Zephyrian Collective a lesson they would never forget. The USS Liberty appeared behind Admiral Crickstall's flagship like a ghost becoming real. One moment there was empty space, and the next moment there was a human warship with its weapons aimed directly at the alien command ship, Chief Gunner Sam. Torres didn't waste any time. Firing rail guns, he announced calmly. The Liberty's hidden weapons opened fire. These weren't energy weapons like the aliens used. These were rail guns that shot metal projectiles faster than anything the Zep had ever seen. The metal slugs hit the alien flagship's shields and went right through them, like they weren't even there. Admiral Crickstall felt his ship shake as holes were punched through the hull. Alarms started screaming on his bridge as air leaked out into space. What happened? He shouted. How did they get behind us? Science Director Velnox was staring at his damaged sensor array in shock. Admiral, their weapons are completely different from ours. They're using solid projectiles moving at incredible speed. Our shields are designed to stop energy weapons, not metal bullets. Captain Jake Morrison watched as the alien flagship tried to turn around to face them. Amy, target their engines. Don't let them escape. Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez was in her element now. All her training in military tactics was finally being put to use. Targeting their main engines, sir. Sam, fire when ready. Sam's next shots hit the flagship's engine section. The alien ship's lights flickered, and it started spinning, slowly out of control. One of their main engines was completely destroyed. Dan, take us to the next target, Jake ordered. Navigation Officer Dan White pushed the Liberty's engines to maximum power. The ship moved between the asteroids like a hunting wolf, using the rocks for cover as it stalked the scattered alien fleet. The other 11 Zephyrian ships were trying to regroup, but they were confused and scared. They had never faced an enemy that could appear and disappear at will. They had never been hurt by weapons that could punch through their shields so easily. Commander Collins, how are our systems holding up? Jake asked. Commander Pete Collins was monitoring the ship's performance from his engineering station. All systems green, Captain. The cloaking device is working perfectly, and our weapons have plenty of ammunition. These railguns can keep firing for hours. The Liberty cloaked next to another alien ship. This one was smaller than the flagship, but it was trying to coordinate the other ships in the fleet. Sam's railgun spoke again, and the alien ship's communications array exploded in a shower of sparks and metal. Dr. Helen Ward was studying the battle through her sensors. As a scientist, she was learning valuable information about alien technology. Captain, their ships are even weaker than we thought. They're built to fight enemies who use the same kind of energy weapons they do. Against our kinetic weapons, they're almost helpless. almost helpless. Jake asked as the Liberty moved to its next target. They still have numbers, sir. And if they get lucky, they could still hurt us. But their technology is completely wrong for fighting us. The third alien ship tried to run away when it saw the Liberty approaching. But Dan was an expert pilot, and the Liberty was faster and more agile than the big alien warship. The ship tried to hide behind an asteroid, but Jake had Sam fire through the rock itself. The railgun projectiles were moving so fast they went right through the asteroid and hit the alien ship on the other side. Admiral Crickstall was getting desperate. Half his fleet was already damaged or destroyed, and he still couldn't understand how one small human ship was beating 12 Zephyrian warships. All ships, focus fire on the human vessel. Ignore everything else. But the human ship was too fast and too smart. Every time the aliens thought they had it trapped, it would disappear and reappear somewhere else. The Liberty was fighting like humans had fought for thousands of years, using speed, intelligence, and surprise, instead of just raw power. Sam Torres was enjoying himself for the first time since the battle started. "Captain, these aliens fight like amateurs. They bunch up their ships so we can hit multiple targets. They don't use cover. They don't coordinate their attacks. It's like they learned warfare from a textbook but never actually fought anyone." "That's probably exactly what happened," Amy said as she targeted another alien ship. "They've been conquering primitive civilizations for so long, they forgot how to fight real battles." The Liberty struck again and again. Each time it attacked, another alien ship was damaged or destroyed. The Zephyrians tried to adapt, but they were too slow and too confused. Their commanders had never faced an enemy that fought back effectively. Dr. Carl Bennett was monitoring the crew's condition from the medical bay. "Captain, the crew is performing excellently. No injuries, and morale is high. Everyone knows we're winning." "Good," Jake replied as he watched another alien ship explode on the main screen. "Because we're not done yet." Science Director Velnox was trying to analyze the human ship from his damaged flagship. "Admiral, I'm detecting massive energy signatures from their vessel. They have technology we've never seen before. How is this possible?" Admiral Crickstall was angry and confused. The Zephyrian Collective had ruled this part of space for 1,000 years. They had conquered hundreds of worlds. How could one ship from a species they had never heard of be destroying his entire fleet? "Sir," Amy reported to Jake, "we've disabled or destroyed 10 of their 12 ships. Only the flagship and one escort are still operational, and both are heavily damaged." Jake looked at the tactical display. The battle was almost over. The mighty Zephyrian fleet that had threatened to capture his ship and crew was now mostly floating debris in the asteroid field. But Jake Morrison was not a cruel man. He had proven his point. Now it was time to see if these aliens could learn from their mistakes. "Sam, cease fire," Jake ordered. "Lisa, open a channel to Admiral Crickstall." The bridge fell silent, except for the quiet hum of the ship's systems. Outside, the wreckage of the alien fleet drifted among the asteroids like a graveyard of broken dreams. "Channel open, sir," Lisa reported. "Admiral Crickstall," Jake said in a calm, steady voice. "This is Captain Morrison. Are you ready to talk? Now." The damaged alien flagship drifted silently among the asteroids. Its lights flickered weakly, and air was still leaking from the holes that Sam Torres' railguns had punched through its hull. On the bridge, Admiral Crickstall stared at the destruction of his once mighty fleet. 11 of his 12 warships were either destroyed or so badly damaged they would never fly again. Hundreds of Zephyrian warriors were dead, and it had all happened in less than 30 minutes, at the hands of a single human ship that was supposed to be a helpless exploration vessel. "Admiral," Science Director Velnox said quietly, "the human captain is asking if we want to talk." Admiral Crickstall looked around his ruined bridge. Half his crew was dead or injured. His ship's weapons were offline, His engines were barely working. He had no choice but to listen to what the human had to say. "Put him through," Admiral Crystal said, his voice bitter with defeat. Captain Jake Morrison's voice came through the speakers. Calm and controlled. "Admiral Crystal, I'm going to give you a choice. You can take your remaining ship and go home, or I can finish what we started here. What's it going to be?" Admiral Crystal felt anger burning in his chest. The Zephyrian Collective had never been defeated before. They had never had to surrender to anyone. But looking at the wreckage floating around his ship, he knew he had no other options. "What do you want, human?" Admiral Crystal asked. "I want you to go back to your people and tell them something very important," Jake replied. "Tell them that humans are not to be messed with. Tell them that if they want to be friends, we're open to that. But if they want to be enemies, they just learned what that means." Science Director Velnox was studying the human ship through his damaged sensors. Even now, after the battle was over, he was trying to understand what had happened. "Captain Morrison, how is this possible? Your ship appeared to be a simple exploration vessel. How did you defeat our entire fleet?" On the Liberty's bridge, Dr. Helen Ward listened to the alien's question with interest. Jake looked at her and nodded. She was the ship's expert on alien life, so maybe she could help explain things. "Science Director Velnox," Helen said through the communications system, "your people made a big mistake. You assumed that because we looked peaceful, we were helpless. But humans have been fighting wars for thousands of years. We've learned how to build ships that can fight even when they don't look like warships. But your technology," Velnox protested, "it should not be superior to ours. We have conquered hundreds of worlds." Commander Pete Collins spoke up from his engineering station. "That's exactly the problem. You've been picking on weak civilizations for so long, you forgot how to fight real battles. Your ships are built to scare people who can't fight back. Your tactics are designed for easy victories. But when you met someone who actually knew how to fight, you didn't know what to do." Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez was still monitoring the tactical situation. "Sir, I'm detecting more alien ships heading this way. Long-range sensors show at least 20 vessels approaching our position." Admiral Crystal felt a moment of hope. "That'll be Admiral Zek's viewer with the Second Fleet. You may have defeated us, but you cannot defeat 40 ships." Jake looked at Amy. "How long until they get here?" "About 2 hours at their current speed," Amy replied. Jake thought for a moment. He could probably defeat the Second Fleet too, but more aliens would just keep coming. And eventually, even the Liberty would be overwhelmed by sheer numbers. It was time to end this properly. "Admiral Crystal," Jake said, "here's what's going to happen. You're going to contact Admiral Zexvor and tell him to turn around. You're going to tell him that attacking humans is a very bad idea, and then you're going to take your damaged ship home and report to your leaders. And if I refuse?" Admiral Crystal asked. Chief Gunner Sam Torres spoke up from his weapons station. "Then we'll destroy your ship and wait for the Second Fleet to arrive. We'll teach them the same lesson we taught you, and then we'll wait for the Third Fleet and the Fourth Fleet, and however many it takes, until your people understand that humans don't surrender." Science Director Velnox realized something that chilled him to his core. "Admiral, this human ship destroyed our entire fleet in 30 minutes. If they can do that, imagine what a human fleet could do. Imagine what human military ships could do, not just exploration vessels." Admiral Crystal felt fear for the first time in his long career. If this was what humans could do with one ship that was supposedly peaceful, what could they do if they decided to go to war? "I will contact Admiral Zexvor," Admiral Crystal said quietly. Jake listened as the alien admiral sent a message to the approaching fleet. Admiral Crystal told them to turn around and return to Zephyrian space immediately. He said that the humans were too dangerous to attack, and that the collective needed to reconsider its approach to this new species. "Good choice," Jake said, when the message was sent. "Now, Admiral, I want you to understand something. Humans don't want to be your enemies. We came out here to explore and learn about the galaxy. But we won't let anyone capture our ships or hurt our people. Is that clear? It is clear, Admiral Crickstyle replied. Dr. Carl Bennett had been treating the few minor injuries among the Liberty's crew. Nay spoke up from the medical bay. Captain, what about their wounded? Should we offer medical assistance? Jake thought about it. Even after everything that had happened, he didn't want to be cruel. Admiral Crickstall, do you need medical help? For your crew. There was a long pause before the alien replied. That is, unexpected. After what we tried to do to you, you would help our wounded. That's the difference between us, Jake explained. You tried to capture us because you thought you could. We fought back because we had to. But we don't kill people who can't fight anymore. Admiral Crickstall was quiet for several minutes. Finally, he spoke again. We will manage our own wounded, Captain Morrison. But, thank you for the offer. It is not something the collective would have done. Maybe that's something your people should think about, Jake suggested. The alien flagship's engines slowly came back online. The ship was badly damaged, but it could fly. Admiral Crickstall prepared to leave the asteroid field and return to Zephyrian space. Captain Morrison, Admiral Crickstall said, before cutting the communication, what should I tell my leaders about humanity? Jake looked around his bridge at his crew. These people had just fought and won against impossible odds. They had shown that humans were not easy prey for galactic bullies. Tell them that humans are peaceful, but not helpless, Jake said. Tell them that we're willing to be friends with anyone who treats us with respect. But also tell them that anyone who tries to hurt us will regret it. The alien ship slowly limped away from the asteroid field, leaving behind the wreckage of its fleet. On the bridge of the USS Liberty, the crew watched it go. Sir, Communications Officer Lisa Park said, I'm picking up radio signals from all across this part of the galaxy. Other alien civilizations were watching the battle. Word is spreading fast about what happened here. Good, Jake said. Maybe now other species will know that humans are not to be underestimated. Dr. Helen Ward was already working on her report about the encounter. Captain, this first contact didn't go the way we planned, but maybe it was for the best. Now the galaxy knows that humanity can defend itself. Commander Pete Collins was checking the ship's systems. All systems normal, Captain. We're ready to continue our mission. Jake looked out at the stars through the bridge windows. Somewhere out there, alien civilizations were learning about humanity for the first time. They were learning that humans were explorers and scientists, but also warriors when they needed to be. Dan, set course for the next star system, Jake ordered. Let's continue our mission, but from now on, I think we'll find that other species will be more interested in talking than fighting. The USS Liberty left the asteroid field and continued on its journey into the unknown. Behind it, the wreckage of the Zephyrian fleet served as a warning to anyone who might think humans were easy targets. In the far reaches of space, Admiral Crickstall sent his report to the collective leadership. He told them about the battle, about the human ship that had destroyed his fleet, and about the choice Captain Morrison had given him. The Zephyrian Collective added a new entry to their database of galactic species. Humans, extremely dangerous. Approach with caution. Recommend peaceful contact only. And across the galaxy, other alien civilizations received the same message. Humanity had announced its presence in the universe, and everyone now knew that Earth's children were not to be trifled with.